Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Yes Shift News Desk Edition, July 21st, 2022 with
Steven Schinder, the son, and he's the dad, in case you're new to the show.
Absolutely. Steve, we have so much stuff to cover. It's like, I asked Steve, you think we can get this in within 3.5 hours? We'll find out. No, not to scare anyone away, but we have so much news in this news desk edition. Where do you want to start? Peter?
Yeah, this bit of news came in, I think, shortly after we did our birthday episode last week.
Yeah.
So this is an update regarding the Peter Banks documentary claiming Peter Banks. Comes from Heidi Hornbacher and Eric Nielsen of Supposable Productions. They say, we started filming for the documentary in 2018, and some of you know we were able to capture interviews from a wide variety of Peter's friends, bandmates, and fans. We're working on crafting a sizzle reel to raise finishing funds for this project. Hope to have something to share shortly. Happy 75th, Pete, wherever you are. So yeah, this is a project I've been wondering about because it's been a little while since we got an update. So it's nice to hear that there's a sizzle reel for it in the works. If I had to guess when they might put it out, and again, this is speculation. I don't know anything. I would think maybe I know March of next year is 10 years after he passed, so I don't know if they're waiting until then or maybe his next birthday, but in any case.
Is it possible they could have it done before the holidays? That's always a good time to release stuff.
Oh yeah, that could be a good time.
Yeah. If the holidays seem like 3 weeks away in my world, and you're still not getting anything. No, just kidding.
Yeah, and I know that I remember seeing a little trailer a while back, and Oliver Wakeman was one of the people they interviewed because he did a bit of work with Peter at some point. So I'm really excited to see this documentary whenever it comes out.
Absolutely. My camera was about to fall, so I'm okay. Yeah, very interested. And do you think that Chris and Alan, if they're making music together wherever they are on the other side, do you think it's leaning towards, did Peter get more modern, or did perhaps Alan, with his acumen working with Yoko Ono and John Lennon and with Chris Squire, do you think they're going backwards into psychedelia? What do you think that might sound like, that trio, with maybe Keith on keyboards?
Yeah, they could maybe flip back and forth, maybe even playing a genre we can't even imagine on this plane of existence.
Can you imagine?
Something way more mind-blowing, if you can believe it. So who knows?
Absolutely. And folks, please feel free to chime in on any of these news items we have. And we have a lot today. They're Yes-related news items and Prague-related news items. Oh, wait, Steve, I got to tell them. And at the end of the episode, we're going to promote what I think is a very fun upcoming episode that's going to be on the 30th. Why did I have to look? On the 30th, we'll give you details, and it's all you. Well, Steve and I are going to participate, but it's going to be a fun, holy bleep moment when we compile everyone's contributions. It's going to be fun. We'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah, that'll be a whole lot of fun. So moving on, this next bit of news comes from Rick Wakeman's website, his grumpy old ramblings for July. I'm just skimming through this to see the music-related stuff, but he says much of June was spent with Eric working on the album A Gallery of Imagination, so Rick's new album he's been working on. Says it's very different from Red Planet, and other people on there include Lee Pomeroy, Dave Calcahoon, and Ash Sohn. And he's quite
wait, back up. So Dave on bass, Ash Sohn on drums? Wow.
Yeah, well, I know Lee plays bass, so I'm not that familiar with Dave, so who knows. But yeah, quite the all-star lineup, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And Rick says, I'm quite pleased with my contribution as well, being the joker that he is. And he says he also lists like some of his leisurely activities and hanging out with family and stuff. So that's nice. He says music wise, Adam, one of his sons, has been playing regularly with Tony Handley and also working on his upcoming Jazz Sabbath tour.
Nice.
And yeah, and I had to look this up, but the Jazz Sabbath tour is September to November over in Europe and the UK.
Not coming here?
It doesn't look like it, unfortunately. But
So will he be incorporating his alter ego?
Yeah, hopefully, I would think.
Tell everyone about that briefly.
Yeah, so the whole premise of Jazz Sabbath is it's like the fictional band where they pretend that Black Sabbath stole their music and reworked it as like rock music. And so Adam, one of the videos that's on YouTube, like Adam Wakeman sort of like dressed up as like a whole other person, like for that as like the band leader, and say, oh yeah, they took our stuff and this is a clip from back in the day.
And what's his name? What's the alter ego name?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
And it's a funny name, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad that they're taking that out on the road.
That's got to be a fun show. It's like it's a whole different version of a Spinal Tap sort of thing, is the way I see it.
Yeah, it's definitely in that vein.
Yeah.
And Rick also says Oliver is recording a new album, and you can follow both the eldest boys' current musical exploits, and in parentheses he says boys, they're 50 and 48 for heaven's sake, on their various social media sites. And I remember recently Oliver shared a pic of him with artist, illustrator Anne Sudworth, who I guess is working on his upcoming solo album. So looking forward to that.
And I think, didn't he comment, Steve, that he's honored because he's the only recording artist she's ever agreed to doing an album cover for so far?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. But again, like it's cool seeing how well musicians and illustrators, it's like a collaboration type of thing like we've seen with Yes or Roger Dean. And so it's nice to see that it's sort of a continuing tradition,
Yeah.
And
Tormato album is proof of that.
Yeah, and of course you can follow Rick on Twitter as well, where he's posted updates on the album as well as some like everyday things every once in a while. There's also a Steve Howe article over at musicradar.com where he talked about guitar related stuff and gear. And I admit some of this kind of goes over my head, but it's nice to see how enthusiastic he is, like talking about this sort of stuff.
Is it go over your head because he's talking a lot of technical aspects of guitar construction and the nuances between the different guitars?
From what I remember, yeah, it was along those lines.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm just posting the link in the comments, and feel free to chime in on any of this if you're watching live. And of course, this will also be available in the archive afterward. So this next bit of news, as I scroll through the notes, this was maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago that we first saw the announcement, but we didn't really get to talk about it on the show. You and I, Dad, talked a little bit about it like over the phone.
Yeah.
But Asia's 40th anniversary tour, which was supposed to happen in August in the US, got pushed back to early 2023. And the reason for this is, apparently they were supposed to be sharing a bill with Alan Parsons. I think it's called the Alan Parsons Live Project. And this was like the first time I heard that they were sharing a bill with him. Like it was news to me and perhaps everyone, because we hadn't seen anything about this. But it got delayed because Alan Parsons had to get some urgent spinal surgery, and so they're sort of waiting on him because I guess they really want to share a bill with him, which you and I both thought was odd because like both bands are kind of equally niche compared to like other bands like Pink Floyd or Kansas. Kansas is constantly touring. Keeping Tom Brislin busy. I think they're still touring in
Yeah.
the U.S. But yeah, it's just kind of odd that it seems like really important to them to share the bill and sort of keep that attached. So, like, what are your thoughts on this? And I have like a little bit of a theory I came up with that I don't know if it's true or not. But what do you think of all this,
Um,
Dad?
my theory, one of them, and this isn't to minimize their relationship with Alan Parsons or respect for him or his music or anything like that. Part of it could be contractual and
Mm,
not as much in their hands as artists as it is with the managers and the promoters and just all of that mishmash that goes with being in that business. It could have a lot to do with that. Agreements with the venues and the promoters, and it could be that. That's kind of my first guess, actually.
yeah, that's probably the more likely thing. It could be a contractual thing, and maybe they can't they have to still honor it.
And maybe
Um,
there's something special planned within the show that they're all going to do together to honor what who knows, something like that. And they are so set on it and worked on it, and that's part of what sold it. Who knows?
right, because this was supposed to be their 40th anniversary
And
tour,
now,
and
like you said the other day, now it's going to be the 40th anniversary. Come celebrate with us in our 41st year.
yeah. But like one possibility that sort of floated in my mind, but the more I think about it, the more I think maybe it's not the case, was that perhaps because John Payne is doing the double anniversaries tour, celebrating 40 years of the first Asia album as well as 30 years of his first Asia album, Aqua. And so since they're both supposed to be in the US, the possibility did float in my mind that like maybe they wanted to avoid brand confusion. But the contract thing, maybe they still have to be attached to Alan Parsons. Like, I feel like that's probably the more likely scenario. The more I think about
Uh,
it.
you know, the interesting thing about your theory with Payne touring at the same time is, and I'm not saying that's not the case or a possibility, but if it is, the issue I take with it is who should get the pass on that?
Hmm.
Who should get the green light more than anybody? I think the answer is kind of obvious. Um,
Yeah, like I think you and I both have like we're not really, well, speaking for myself, not that into the Asia featuring John Payne name, but I still like him playing the music of Asia, especially the from the years that he was so pivotal to the history of the band, the 90s and first half of the 2000s.
yeah.
But so but again, it's just another one of those weird things, like what we went through later on with Yes and Yes featuring ARW. It's just one of those weird things that we had mixed feelings about. But yeah, it's like there is the Asia band and there's Asia featuring John Payne, which I mean, to be fair, I do respect that a few years ago when they were close to releasing an album, they put it under a different band name because it was so close after Wetton's passing. And so they didn't want it to, like, it just did.
Overshadow and take away from his
Yeah, it just
legacy. Yeah.
didn't seem right to them.
So
So,
what was the band name they put it under? Herschel Goldstein and the Bagel Slingers?
no, I think it was Dukes of the Orient. So,
Asia,
yeah,
I get it.
right. So,
So,
kind of,
I'm just
yeah.
curious for fans listening, if you're into at any level, what John Payne has done with Asia, I'd like to know. I'm not super familiar with his contributions overall. I remember Aqua. I remember being in touch with, I told you this, I think, being in touch with John Payne either right before or around the time he did the Asia thing because we were in Las Vegas And if I remember right, he was doing the Rock of Ages or one of those things, right? Something
Yeah,
like
he was
that.
doing some stuff in Vegas, I
Yeah.
remember.
I wonder if I have his phone number still. So I'd be curious to get some feedback from fans, like how it measures up, because I kind of see it like Yes. You know, if someone younger came into the Yes world in the Trevor years first, that might be all they know and all they're going to listen to, and they don't want to hear about anything else. It could be the same thing where just a different version of that band is canonized to them, you know?
Right, or it could be like a Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins situation for all we
Yeah.
know in the
There's a
minds of
bit
some
of a
people.
difference there because Phil was
Yeah,
with
there
them,
is,
so,
but
but
yeah.
still, I know what you mean. Yeah. Let me look. John. Sorry. Okay, no, I don't think I do. It was PAY, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I might still have his email. Maybe we'll get him on, reach out to him anyway. Anyway, sorry for the little diversion, but that whole weirdness intrigues me. The whole Yes versus ABWH versus ARW versus WSB, you know, whatever freaking.
Versus WTF is going on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just exhausting sometimes, but when you put all that aside, it really truly is all great music.
Yeah, and something that I found on Bonde Gazoo is that apparently in that issue of Beat magazine that featured Jeff Downs on the cover, Jeff said he wants to finish some stuff he had been working on with John Wetton just before he passed away. He says, want to put out as a tribute to our writing partnership. It would be great to get some of the artists who worked with Asia to guest on that.
So what do you read into that? Like, what? I wonder what the urgency is and why that puts off the Asia tour at all. That part does not make sense to me.
Oh no, that has nothing to do with the Asia tour.
Oh, okay. He's just doing that while it's delayed, right?
Yeah, like this
Probably-
came out
okay.
before the delay news. It was just,
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to segue into another bit of
Oh, I'm
news.
sorry. So, okay, then let me pose this because this was my next thought. So when he says it would be great to get some artists who worked with Asia to guest on that, like, yes, but not in the same numbers, kind of adds up to a lot of people. You got the 4 original members, you got Bumblefoot, you got Billy Sherwood, now you got Mark Bonilla, you got John Payne. There's 8 people right there. Would Mike Stone produce it? Maybe no. They'll probably get Billy Sherwood, but who knows? You know, there's some interesting things in that statement where how unlike Yes, in some ways, and other bands where members come and go, or most bands members go and they don't come back. I'm like, yes, the revolving freaking, yes, may I have your ticket? You can come through the turnstile again. You know, unlike that, my feeling, what I get from that is that whom the alumni are still very friendly with each other, it seems. Like Steve Howe isn't part of the picture, but it's just because he wants to concentrate on Yes. It's not because he had a falling out with anybody.
Right. And what I gleaned from this is that it sounds like it wouldn't be an Asia album because he says he'd like Asia musicians to guest on it. So maybe it will be like Icon or Wetton Downs or something.
Yeah, or yeah. Interesting.
Right.
Sorry, my mind kind of wandered into what you were saying and picturing what that would sound like. Chime in, folks. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I see that in the comments. Eli Golden is wondering. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the comments real quick. So Eli Golden says, when did Dan first start playing the drum set? It's kind of unrelated to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that real quick?
Is that on the Drum Talk TV side of the broadcast by any chance?
Maybe no, it's on the Yes Shift.
Oh, okay.
Side
Well,
of it.
I'll chime in on that real quick, even though it's kind of off topic, kind of. Although I was heavily influenced by Bill Bruford, Alan White, and Carl Palmer, so it's kind of related. I started playing shortly before I turned 7 years old, which was a very long time ago. It was actually would have been this probably last quarter of 1969, even before Stephen was born. Yeah, long time ago. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and speaking of Bill Bruford, he's been busy with his YouTube channel, or he and his team, I'm sure. So he's uploaded a few Earthworks videos from '91 and early
Nice.
2000s. So we got Footloose and Fancy Free, Triplicity, and Emotional Shirts. So some really nice live videos. I'm
Oh,
glad he's still
great.
doing this.
Yeah.
And another one coming out tomorrow from 2005 called White Knuckle Wedding. So yeah,
I've had a few.
yeah, really great jazzy stuff. I love listening to this.
Yep. And by the
And
way, in case folks don't know, we had Bill on the show in May?
April.
April. In April, we had Bill on, and he was so wonderful. Look back in our stuff, or just YouTube search or Facebook search, Yes Shift Bill Bruford, or Drum Talk TV Bill Bruford. He was great. And Stephen was part of that interview because we simulcasted on Yes Shift and Drum Talk TV. So it all tied in. And he was great. I can't say enough about it. He was wonderful.
Yeah, it was amazing. And apparently he's also got a virtual interview coming up on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame YouTube channel Saturday the 23rd at noon Eastern time. So people can look into that as well.
And he's coming out with his own licensed version of, the Monopoly game called Brewfopoly.
I'd play that.
The properties are going to be names of Yes and King Crimson and UK albums.
Right.
The tokens will be like Bill, Wetton, Jobson, but only for a short time.
Yeah, but also on the 19th of this month marked 50 years since Bill left Yes for King Crimson. And they posted a link to Ultimate Classic Rock's article on it, and also a picture from the Melody Maker article. So the post says this is the leading British music weekly of the time, led with a story. Pictured in London's Covent Garden were, from left to right, Robert Fripp, Jamie Muir, Bill, David Cross, and John Wetton was unavailable for the photo.
That is just so weird.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Seriously, right? Doesn't that seem weird?
Yeah, like they couldn't wait for him, or
or do it on another day, or use a photo that I'm sure someone had of when they all first got together. Cheers, pop the cork, Bill's here. How? And what could he possibly have been doing? Hey, John, can you meet us in a couple hours? No, I'm getting me haircut. What could he have been doing?
Yeah, so it's a nice looking image there, but yeah, it's kind of weird that John Wetton
pull it up again for everybody.
Yeah. And I shared it around and asked people what their favorite Yes and King Crimson songs with Bill on them were. There's a lot of love for Heart of the Sunrise and Starless and Bible Black for the most part.
Oh, Bible Black I love. I love some of the forward, not newer King Crimson, but newer than that. I love the stuff with the Adrian Belew and Tony Levin lineup with Bill and Robert. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Lark's Tongues and Aspic was brought forward from that. But Elephant Talk, Three of a Perfect Pair, Mate Kudasai, just love that version of King Crimson. Nothing against the rest of it. Or anything they're doing now. I just love that stuff.
No, yeah, it's kind of like what we were talking about. We have some of our preferred eras of certain bands, right?
So, and what's yours? And fans, chime in. What's your favorite King Crimson song with Bill Bruford? Favorite Yes song with Bill Bruford? Pick one each. Steve, what's yours? I haven't given my Yes one yet. You go ahead.
Well, having brushed up before interviewing Bill, I think it might be the mid 70s period with King Crimson.
And favorite song?
That's a tough. I'd have to look at them again. I remember Lark's Tongues and Aspic was a huge one, but Yeah, there's like some great stuff throughout their catalog, like with Bill and Beyond Bill and Before
Yeah.
Bill as well, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite Yes song? I think I know. That's a stupid question, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell everybody in case they don't know.
Revealing science. Oh, you mean with Bill or?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. With
I thought
Bill,
you were joking at
it's-
first. That would have been great.
Yeah, with Bill, it might
Dance on a
be-
volcano.
It might be close to the edge, possibly.
It is absolutely mine.
Okay,
yeah, it is.
So yeah, it's 50 years. Wild.
Wow. Jeez. So how old were you when that came out? Oh, never mind. Yeah.
Right. So should I move on to the
Yes.
John Anderson stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is exciting. Shizzle.
Yeah. So first off, before we get into the tour stuff, John uploaded to song on his YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure this was already on his Patreon, but they added like a music video to it. It's sort of tranquil, meditative sounding stuff, very relaxing. Over on his Patreon, he posted Life, or At the Mountain with Austin Haynes. This has some nice piano and hand drum stuff. It's really nice. I do wish that John would post more on his Patreon, because for the past month, it's felt kind of barren. And I know I'm like only paying $10, but even so, it's like, you know, you got to utilize that a bit more, like, especially since there are other people paying like even more. So like, that's just my little bit of advice.
But maybe the people paying more are getting what you're not getting. Annie out, bro.
No, I don't think so, because it shows me what's posted for like higher tier.
Oh, that's
members,
a great
and-
feature. So it gets you to pay more, but you're not seeing it.
Right, yeah.
Okay, maybe he's just busy or doesn't know how to
Yeah.
work it.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's touring, but he could have like someone else like
Well,
work,
duh,
but-
yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway.
Come on, Deborah.
Yeah, speaking of all that, you know, John has been touring with Paul Green Rock Academy again, this time doing the Close to the Edge 50th anniversary tour.
I'm so excited about this. I can't
Yeah.
wait. Get through the intro so I can say why I'm so excited about this. I'm sure you are too. Fans, if you're not familiar with this, hang in there with us right now. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to show a couple great clips.
Yeah, so they're halfway through this tour and it's going into August. It's on the East Coast, so unfortunately it's not like on our part of the country, but from the from the clips we've seen on YouTube, you know, it still seems like the students are very energetic. The set list doesn't look too different from their last go around. I think it's mostly the same, but of course they've playing like Close to the Edge from the album from start to finish is like the main draw. It's in their second part of their set. And his daughter Deborah shared a clip of him doing I Get Up, I Get Down.
Can I show that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's start with that. So, folks, remember, John's going to be 78 in October. I want you to just let that soak in before I play this. John's going to be 78 in October. Let me help you out there so you don't have to get out the abacus and slide some beads. That's 2 years shy of 80 years old. The difference between 80 and 100 years old is less than my son Steven's age right now. Listen to his voice. Look at these kids.
Yeah.
Look at that. I got to play that again. Listen to his voice. Hang on. Did I mention he's 2 years shy of 80 in about a month and a half? Check this out. And these kids, I mean, this music, if you're into prog at all, because it's all subjective, folks. Let's be real about it. But this is some of the best music ever, no matter who's playing it. And these kids, I think, are proving that. They're so into it. There's multiple guitar players, 2 bass players. There's these young ladies singing. We're going to show more of Close to the Edge. But to see and hear John doing this, it really blows my mind. It gives me a lot of inspiration. I mean, he just looks so good. He's always glowing, even in these little short clips of him out off stage on camera, talking, getting out of the car with his wife at that, just it's just amazing. And it all comes from what's in here and what's in here,
Yeah.
just amazing. So I had to interrupt with that, Steve. It just blows my mind. It really does. So go on. And when you're ready, I'll skim through the entire song Close to the Edge. We'll just, like a stone across the pond, hit a few points because the kids are amazing. So is John.
Right. Yeah. It is inspiring seeing like singers like him, like at that age and still being able to do some of this. I mean, John Lodge from the Moody Blues, he turned 77 yesterday. So happy birthday to him. I got on a shirt.
Got your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So to see, something like this where he's, he seems really into it and the students seem into it, that, they're these teenagers, and it's very, should I say my 2 cents on like how I compare this to what Yes are doing, or should we wait until like after?
No,
Okay.
That's cool. Go. I like you giving that context before we show some of it. And then people could think about what you said and chime in with their opinion.
Okay, so it goes without saying that, I love Yes, and I love what they're doing. They've made like some questionable set list decisions, but at the end of the day, I enjoy hearing them play stuff like Close to the Edge and all this other stuff. But it's pretty much a given that because of how high up in age like some of the musicians are, they have to slow down the pace a little bit. So when you listen to Close to the Edge by Yes, like right now, you do, as much as they try to make it sound like the original album, right down to the key change toward the end, like we've talked about before, it still is at a slightly slower pace. And sometimes there'll even be, someone might have to catch up to someone, or maybe the other way around or something. It's still enjoyable to listen to, but if I want to listen to something that sounds like it's at the same pace as the original album, which, the original album is my preferred version of Close to the Edge, the song. I feel like these teen musicians are able to keep up that pace. It's probably a thing, like, of course, because they're younger, and so it's maybe not a fair comparison, but I'd be down to re-listen to each of these versions, but I'd probably be more likely to revisit the Paul Green Rock Academy's rendition of it, like, if that makes sense.
It does, and I want to chime in and say, short of Close to the Edge, we've seen some other great Paul Green with John Anderson renditions of things like, and without John, even with Heart of the Sunrise and all kinds of things. So it's very valid.
Yeah, and so I lost my train. I'll save it for later,
sorry.
but go ahead.
Sorry. Check this out, folks, and then give us your thoughts. It's so good. Hey! Whoop. Internet. Hold on, it's coming.
Get down, get up, get down.
Sean's voice, just unbelievable. It's just amazing. All right, let's skip ahead a little more to the organ solo. Here comes my favorite Yes lyric. It's just so fucking good. And Steve, you hit it on the head as far as the pace. Like, that's the most I've watched of it at one time. And you're so right about the pace. But did you people pay attention to John's voice? And there's 11 kids on stage. There's the
They're all dancing. It's so good.
There's the 4 vocalists, the drummer, the bass player, 2 guitar players, 2 keyboard players. I'm missing someone. I think another bass player. Just amazing. Just amazing. I don't know what else to say about it. And I think very few, if anyone, as far as a musician at John Anderson's level of stature and accomplishments, has done as much or more for kids in music than what he's doing with this. And he's not just enveloping them in Yes music. We've seen him perform with them before. There's a Beatles song. He's playing bass on Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. I mean, it just goes on. And it's just, I love it. I want to be part of that world. I just love it.
Yeah, and there's even like a Lenny Kravitz song, Fly Away, and more recent, an Eminem song, Lose Yourself. So
that's right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love it. I'd love to get people's thoughts on what we just played.
Yeah, well, we actually have a comment from Joe Cass, the drummer from Total Master Tame.
Who?
So,
and then you might as well make the announcement.
Right. So Joe says the John Anderson, Paul Green Rock Academy tour is amazing this year. He also said, yes, love that version of King Crimson, but I'm not sure if that was in response to me or to you earlier.
Yeah, let us know, Joe. So do you want to make the announcement?
Yeah, we can make it now. So Joe Cass, drummer for Yes tribute band Total Mass Retain, which a little bit more on that in a bit, will be on your show, Dad, Drum Talk TV's a tribute to the tributes, and that's on Wednesday the 27th at noon Pacific, did we say?
Noon Pacific, 3 Eastern U.S. times, and I co-host that with my buddy Jason Gianni from the Drummer World, he's done a ton of I got something you might not know about Jason. He's done a ton of Broadway. He was in Queen's Ultimate, what was it called? Sorry. Queen's, he's going to kill me.
Like the Ultimate Queen tribute?
Yes, yeah, I believe so. With the gentleman who does...
Oh, the Ultimate Queen Celebration.
With the vocalist who does Freddie's voice in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but Jason is the drummer of the official SpongeBob SquarePants theme.
Oh, really?
Yep, he is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yep. And Joe Cass is a friend of both of ours, and we're going to welcome Joe onto a tribute to the tributes and Talk Yes tribute, Yes music, and of course, drumming. Joe, we're looking forward to having you.
Yeah, and we'll post that on we'll share it on our page as well and post it on the podcast feed.
Yeah, it'll broadcast on both Yes Shift and Drum Talk TV. It's a simulcast, both at the same time. Folks, chime in on the whole John Anderson thing. I can't help but laugh because it's just so freaking good. Where was this when I was a kid? Why didn't I get to jam behind John? And that drummer has Bill. He's playing at more of the Bill Bruford, iteration, whereas I play more of the Alan White version because I've heard it and played all the different for years. Nothing against Bill. Bill's a huge influence on me, but that's just my groove, I guess. Anyways, I'm just still blown away. I'd love for them to put out an official DVD. I'd go to a freaking cinema to watch it, seriously.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But moving on with more Close to the Edge touring, of course, Yes have been playing it, like we said, and they are going to have some shows in Japan in September. And they've announced that since the 2 Tokyo shows have sold out, they're adding another one for September 12th at the Orchard Hall.
And are the first 2 at Budokan?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, just curious. That's okay. I was just thinking, size-wise, when you say they sold out, if it's at Budokan, I think that holds...
Yeah, because I know Budokan is Yeah, because I know Budokan, because I've seen it in that Asia video that recently got re-released. It is a huge place,
Yeah.
but I'm just looking at the live dates real quick so I can see. But yeah, they said, they're still honoring Alan, which is great. Okay, looks like all three of them are at the Orchard Hall, so
Oh,
same venue.
okay. I'm not familiar with that venue.
Yeah, but they said that this newly added day will feature some changes to the set list, including a special acoustic interlude.
Ah,
So I'm curious what that'll be about. So do you have any speculation
Yeah.
on that?
yeah. Depending on if so, here's an obvious, and I'll give you a not so obvious. The
Okay.
obvious would be if the other two dates don't include like a lot of like Steve Howe playing Mood for a Day, Masquerade, different things like that.
Right.
But I'm sure that's built into the set. I wonder if they're going to do something like they did on Songs from Songus and pull out a couple songs and do acoustic versions, like Long Distance Run Around acoustic, and like they did on the Relayer tour, some things like that maybe. And it's great for them to change it up because it's going to encourage people who already have tickets to buy tickets to see a bit of a different show, which is smart. I love that. I'm fine with that marketing.
Yeah, I think stuff like what you said and like Leaves of Green would be
Oh, yeah.
obvious choices. But I would love if they do what they did in Songs from Songas and do like when they did a blues version of Roundabout. Like I'd love to see reinterpretations like that. Like
Absolutely.
do that with
They did Owner of a Lonely Heart, for goodness sakes.
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Hey, they could bring out Madrigal again, do the Steve and
Oh,
John
yeah.
Davison duet like they did a few years ago. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That's I want to know now. If I was nearby, I'd go. Best food in the world anyways in Japan.
Yeah, so maybe that'll surface on YouTube around that time and we can see for
Let's
sure.
hope so.
Yeah. But onto a few tribute band date news. So I don't have this on here, but I did see that And You and Yes have a few shows like in Montreux, one in Montreux and a couple in France, I think, over this next week. So people can go to their Facebook page and see.
Are they
wait.
also, I'm sorry, are all these that you're going to mention also celebrating 50 years of Close to the Edge? Like, is everybody doing that?
I'm not sure if And You and Yes are doing it. I know there's a Dutch one called Yes Shows, but I don't know what their set list is like right now. I know that Awaken, which we're about to mention, have said we're doing Relayer and Close to the Edge, sort of satisfying like both of those needs. But Awaken, they said come join us Saturday, August 13th at the Warehouse in Long Island, and Saturday, August 27th at the Westcott Theater for an evening of classic Yes. They posted this with a clip of themselves playing Machine Messiah, which again is just so expertly done. And Total Mass Retain. Well, I'll mention this bit that's at the top in a little moment, but tickets go on sale tomorrow for their Boston City Winery show on September 2nd in New York City.
That's Joe Cass and his backup band, to be clear.
Yeah. And the winery on September 4th as well. So it's going to be the 2nd and the 4th. And
I think it's free drinks for everyone who mentions Drum Talk TV.
Yeah, man, New York is like the East Coast is very, because, we got Boston City and New York, and now,
Yeah.
like they're just so lucky.
You could go on a Yes concert crawl,
Yeah.
Seriously. And then
Yeah,
rate them. How fun would that be?
Yeah, and on October 7th, they'll be part of Prague Stock, which is over at Union County Performing Arts Center in New Jersey. And Total Mass Retain also recently ran a poll saying what should be the next Yes epic that we play in our set. And the winner was Gates of Delirium.
That's what I had in my head. Awesome.
Yeah, with 38.7%. Mind Drive was second with 27.4%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one I was hoping would win, to be honest, because, it hasn't been played as much.
Yeah.
and then followed closely by Revealing Sides of God with 21.7%, all far exceeding the lowest vote count for Ritual, 12.2%.
I would love to play just one of these songs with a band. For those who don't know, I've been playing this shit since it came out. I sorry to put it that way. I've been playing this music since it came out. It's so imprinted on my brain. I literally could do a walk on with any of those songs. I play them that much still at almost 60 years old. But I live in the middle of nowhere. I live 100 miles from Phoenix, up in the mountains, a small community of 7,200 people. I think 30 of us know who Yes is. 4 of us are musicians. No, I'm just kidding. But, I don't get that opportunity to seek something like that out and be able to sit in. I would just love to. I know that sounds audacious to even say, but I wish I could play with musicians. I so love that people like Joe and other people we've spoken to are in these bands playing this music, keeping it alive. I would love to. Just what a joy.
Yeah, for sure. And we've also got there's this CD we sort of alluded to. That's you can listen to it on Bandcamp actually. And this is titled Awaken, and it's by a tribute band called Parallels, which includes
I accidentally showed that image earlier. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it includes Tim Morse and some other people. So from what I gather, this is basically a compilation of a few things that they recorded over the years. And so it features like 3 different singers on it. So I guess from like different lineups.
And is that Yes Tour?
I'm thinking it might be. Like, it looks a lot like it.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and this has been out for like a month and a half, something like that. The track listing is as follows. So it starts with Awaken, then it has Some Are Born, which is sort of a mix between the Yes demo and the John Anderson final version. It's really good. Then we got Opening Sketches, which actually has material from the John Anderson epic Open from like 2011 or something like that. Apparently Tim Morse had been working on that with John back at that time, and then it just like this is what didn't get used. Like at the time, John was sick of having Parallels as a backup band, according to this interview on Tim Morse's site that I'm reading. But then I guess John got more interested in the idea of ARW, and that took a few years to get off the ground, but there you go. But yeah, Opening Sketches is a nice compilation of some of those bits from Open, including the reuse of a certain part of New Language from the latter.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and then we got Future Times, Rejoice, probably my favorite track off of Tormato.
Yeah.
And then this was a little bit confusing. Like we get Guitar Etude, which begins with like a guitar bit and then segues into Onward, and then we get Onward again. But in any case, Onward is very beautiful, and it ends with, you know how on Astro Traveler there's that organ bit where it's like dun, 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 but they like reinterpret it in such a beautiful way where it's like do, 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 where it like fits the tone of the song here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then we get Awaken, the Adam Holtzman mix, it sort of bringing out a bit of the rockier elements of the song. So yeah, like looking at this interview, they said altogether the CD includes most of the members of Parallels who dedicated a lot of time to bring this music to life. It's great to hear 3 of the singers who were with the band at different times. Lastly, but importantly, it gives us another chance to thank our fans, the people who came out regularly to support our live shows. It was a joy and a privilege to share this music with other enthusiastic Yes fans. So yeah, what do you think of like just this whole thing, like this whole idea, I guess?
I think it's interesting, and I like that it's not what someone would predict. You know, the mix of those songs, I don't mean the mix, but I mean the variety of those songs
Yeah.
are like kind of like, huh, that's definitely different, and I like that. You know, there's been so many best ofs and compilations and all that. This is probably the most different set list than all of them. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely more eclectic. And the mixing is great.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, like I love the mixing on this.
cool.
Yeah, and this next item, Pure Fire, the Ultimate Kiss tribute. I think the last time I brought this up, I thought it was a new release, but looking into it more, it originally came out in 2018, but is just recently released on red vinyl on July 1st. It features Jay Shellen on the track Love Gun. And even though we didn't have to, I went ahead and just listened to this whole thing on Bandcamp, and
Oh, how was it?
it was so my familiarity with I almost said Queen with Kiss is mainly from like tracks that were used in the comedy movie Role Models, but listening to this tribute album, it's very rocky, like it's really rocking, makes me bob my head like back and forth. It makes me think, huh, maybe I would enjoy much of Kiss's discography. So in that sense, it really works as a potential gateway for someone maybe less familiar with Kiss music. But I'm also curious what a hardcore Kiss fan might think
Yeah.
of this, because I don't think I know very many Kiss fans. I know Mark Anthony Kaye from Yes Music podcast is a huge Kiss fan, so I'd be curious to hear
Oh
his
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah.
And any fans listening or watching, let us know.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it's a really nice looking red vinyl, so I'm sure that's
Yeah.
a really nice collector's item to have.
Yeah.
And then we get something else that came out July 1st, and this is new. It's the fifth release from the Prog Collective, which Billy Sherwood produces, and this is titled "Songs We Were Taught." It has like covers of various folk songs and various prog songs there as well. So what do you think of the selections of the tracks on here, Dad? And feel free to like there are like a few Yes members on there, which we'll mention, but what do you think of the overall like selection?
Where are they again? At that link?
Yeah, progcollective.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna show up for me unless I give me 1 second, folks. And I like the cover. I like the reference to "Selling England by the Pounds" cover with the topiaries. I'm pretty sure that's what the reference is. Regarding the,
I
Yeah.
can read the track list if that helps.
oh, I just found it.
Okay.
So we got "The Sound of Silence" with John Davison.
And Jeff Downs.
Yeah, that's right. And "Year of the Cat," which is cool, with Billy Sherwood, David Sancious. That's from Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, which I've never been a Bruce fan. It's not that I don't like him or his music. I just never got into it whatsoever. "House of the Rising Sun" from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I knew since I was little. I love that. That's cool. "In the Land of the Gray and Pink" with Bumblefoot. That's Guns N' Roses song. That's cool. This is very eclectic. "Summer Breeze." A different "Summer Breeze." I was thinking of "Summer Breeze" from Seals and Crofts. That's cool. "Dixie Dregs," our friend Rod Morgenstein. A Curved Air song, "Fire and Rain." And Martin Barr is on there from Jethro Tull, of course. "The Weight" from Argent. With Rod Argent and Jeff Skunk Baxter. Wow. "Wild World," and we've got "It's Too Late" with Dweezil Zappa, cool, and "The Times That Are Changing." Yeah.
Yeah, and Patrick Moraz is also on Wild World.
Oh, I see that now. Yeah. Very cool. This is a very eclectic, not at all what I would have thought, because there's a lot of stuff on there I don't think of as prog at all.
Yeah, so listening through this, my basic analysis, if you can call it that, is that the way that they progified each of these songs
With the
was,
artists
was
playing on them.
basically by adding more synthesizers to like some of these and,
Oh,
and more drumming and stuff.
I see what you're saying. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I do think it could also work as a gateway because after listening to In the Land of Grey and Pink and listening to the original song by Caravan, I was thinking, huh, maybe Caravan's a prog rock band I should look into more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but like right from the start, Sound of Silence is such a strong beginner. Like you and I were talking somewhat recently about how recently you listened to Chromatics' cover of that and we're just like blown away by that. And
It's enchanting. Yeah.
yeah, because Grandma and Grandpa loved like that, like Sound of Silence and Simon
Yeah.
Garfunkel, right?
Absolutely. I grew up as a little boy listening to all of that. And then had the honor of basically for my 50th birthday interviewing Hal Blaine, who played on all of that stuff, as well as another favorite artist of theirs, John Denver, as well as another favorite artist of theirs, The Fifth Dimension. So that was neat. Unfortunately, my mom and dad weren't around to see me do that and meet Hal, but yeah, I grew up with that music, so that was cool. And it's been covered by a few other artists as well.
Yeah, there have been many covers. Out of the few I've listened to, like this one was good, and you know, John does such a great job singing, and it just the overall sound is great. But I think I still prefer the Chromatics cover because it sounds more haunting, and that's a bit more my vibe with the song, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Cool.
But yeah, all of these are very solid, and again, like kudos to Billy on producing, and just another reminder that he's on Dave Kersner's upcoming album, The Traveler. So you could go to sonicelements.bandcamp.com and pre-order whichever edition you'd prefer of that.
Yep. And before we get to fan feedback, I told Steve right at the start of this that I had some news I wanted to break.
Right.
And I also have something to report on from something I did last night. So here's the news. If you're a Queen fan, this morning the official charts company announced that the 1981 album, Queen Greatest Hits, has surpassed 7 million sales. And that's just in the UK, something no other band has accomplished. The record was already Britain's best-selling album, being certified platinum 23 times. That's crazy. But this truly has an even greater milestone through a combination of physical sales, downloads, and streams. And that is that it's accumulated over 1.26 billion total UK streams to date, with the record's most streamed track being Bohemian Rhapsody, a song boasting over 240 million streams and counting. Both Brian and Roger have shared how they feel on what also marks Brian May's 75th birthday today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what a present, and no doubt Freddie Mercury would be so proud. And I'm going to hold up I know this is kind of caveman, but there they are. I don't know
on
why.
your phone.
Yeah, and I don't know why John Deacon has been so out of the picture. I don't remember learning of any fallout or if he just retired beyond retirement. But I wish John Deacon was kind of more of the story there in the picture. But that's a really neat milestone.
Yeah, it's a huge feat.
May not ever be matched, you know. And then last night, I gotta give props to my buddy and his backup band, Todd Zuckerman, the drummer for Styx. My wife and I drove 100 miles to see Styx in Phoenix last night, and I've seen them before, probably 8 years ago, maybe, and they way over delivered. They played every
Nice.
hit. They played stuff from their new album, which I think, Crash of the Crown, which I think is the most progressive music they've ever put out. And as a special treat, for about 5 songs, they brought out Chuck Panozzo, founding
wow.
member who was the twin member opposite the original drummer. This is the original bass player who left in 1996, I believe, due to issues with HIV and cancer at the same time. And here's Chuck out there playing some of their biggest hits, and even one of the short new songs with Lawrence Gowans, who is a keyboard player. It was such a great show. And before the show started, we had great seats. We were like maybe 15 rows back in the center. And before the show, it's an outdoor venue, and I noticed something. I nudged my wife and I go, Enja, is that a bat? That's not a bird, is it? Because bats fly kind of erratic. And she gets this creepy look on her face because she's terrified. There was this bat flying around before the show, and we saw it probably 3 or 4 times while they were playing. And I texted Todd and let him know, hoping to get a response before the show. Let me see if he's even seen it. He hasn't seen it yet. They were flying today. But that was an extra thing. But the vocals were amazing. The vocals were amazing. The playing was amazing. The musicianship, the tightness of the show, the light show, nothing was schlocky, nothing was cheesy. If you get a chance to go see Styx, even if you're sort of a fan or you haven't listened to them in 30 years, but you heard them in high school, go see this show. And we caught the last half of Loverboy. And I know we're getting out of Prague here with Loverboy, but they blew my mind. Like, I didn't even know they were still around. I know that sounds stupid for those who are like, no, they're hardcore, man. And when I first saw this singer, I thought, is that, I'm having a brain fart. I gotta look. Come on, help me, folks. It's
What, the singer?
Yeah, Mike Reno. I'm like, is that Mike Reno? He's probably, this is not a criticism, I'm just reporting, he's probably 123 pounds more of the Mike Reno you folks might know from back in the 80s and 90s, but he sounded 25 years old and moved like a 30-year-old. It was mind-boggling. I pulled his picture up and showed Enja, and you could see right here, it was Mike Reno. They were so good. I was super impressed. So go see the show.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It is. It's fun to see these old girls, older than I am. Todd's younger than I am by 10 years, but other than another new guy who's 50 and Styx, the other guys are in their mid 60s to mid 70s. Loverboy, they're all in their mid 60s. I think Mike Reno, is 68. He sounded amazing. It really blew my mind. And then the cherry on the top of all of them is John Anderson. To hear John sing what he sang, Steve, put that whole Close to the Edge version that we played parts of in the comments so people can enjoy that.
All right.
It just makes me feel like I still have some years on me for being a musician. Just got to get past some nerve damage, and I'm working on it with this brand new supplement my friend makes. It's helping my blood sugar too. But it gave me just so much inspiration, even as a fill in the blank. Don't have to be a musician, but to see someone of that age, 22 years shy of 100, sound in his 30s. Truly amazing, really. Because vocal, you can change guitar strings. You can change drum heads. You can get new amplifiers, speaker cabinets, restring your piano. You cannot replace this. So it's amazing to me what they've been able to maintain, especially since most, if not all of them, smoked for years and years and years. And then there's the yelling at the kids. Steve knows about that. I'm just really amazed by it all. I hope I'm not overhyping it or anything. It just really, truly blows my mind. So folks, maybe you could chime in. Who's a singer you've heard lately and maybe even seen who is a senior citizen whose voice just blew your mind? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, it's all great stuff that they're able to still do this type of thing.
Yeah.
So moving into the feedback.
But wait, there's more. We have fan feedback. We'll power through this. Can I read this one after you give the intro to it?
Yeah, well, we have I paraphrased one thing from someone, and then the next one is all one thing from someone else.
Okay.
So the first one from Jeff Williams, who emailed us, said that the song that you were thinking of on our previous episode from The Ladder that begins with like a sequencer or something was Face to Face.
Yeah, I couldn't pull the name out. I thought it was something else.
I think I said it was something else, but I was like busy checking the stream, so I wasn't like, my head wasn't in it. But yeah, thanks for the correction, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. That is absolutely the song. And then from Fred Tolan, and I'm looking over here at my notes, folks. I can't memorize the comments, so I'm reading. Fred Tolan says, I just found your podcast, and I must say, you guys are crap. No, I'm kidding. He says, I am at episode 8 as I binge listen. Wow, that is great. He says, quick bio. I'm 60 years old, age bros. I'm 59. I'm getting there. And my first Yes show was the famous Philly show at the Spectrum 1979. Since then, I've seen them over 30 times, including ABWH, ARW, EIEIO, Elemental P, QRS, TUV. I'm adding all those. Sorry, folks. Mostly in Philadelphia. Greatest Yes fans. Since I started to listen to your podcast, I've been listening to a steady diet of Yes on the only format which I listen to, vinyl. I could go on and on, but I'll keep it brief. Definitely will check in once I get caught up and in sync with the coming episodes. On a closing note, Yes are in my top 5 bands of all time. If you look at my address, you should be able to figure out who's number 1, Thin Lizzy. I find those two, even in the same discussion, interesting. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love the diversification. Completely different bands. Oh, he even says so. Completely different bands, but one thing in common. After the first guitarist left, each band, the sound completely changed. Great point. By the time I get caught up, both you gentlemen need to be listening to Yes or any other band on vinyl. That's an order, laugh out loud. I still have all my vinyl. It's back there in that cabinet under the tambourine, the drumsticks, the drum heads, and the tongue drum. I got all my old vinyl from growing up. Some of us probably sell pot seeds in the gatefold seam. Was that out loud? Once again, thank you so much for the wonderful podcast. Fred, that means so much to us. That is really, really great. Because Steve and I, this is a passion project. And we do it because we love Yes. We do it because we love talking about Yes. So why not talk about it with other fellow Yes members without worrying about who's picking up the wrong beer can and drinking someone's backwash.
I mean, Yes fans.
Doing it virtually. Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in. And you folks, by the way, can send us feedback and show ideas to yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us. If you're watching us, you can follow us on, what's it called again? Facebook.com/YesShift. And we simulcast on the Drum Talk TV page. That's my real job, one of two, my media company, Drum Talk TV. And you can listen to us if you can't stand looking at that. If you can't stand then you can follow us on anchor.fm/YesShift. We're on all the big podcasting platforms there. And now, big announcement, special episode that will be made up mostly of you folks with a little bit of input from Stephen and I. I'll give the drum roll and you can announce it.
All right. So on Saturday, July 30th at noon Pacific time, it's also 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, we will be going live to do an episode that we've titled Yes Tomatoes. And the idea, and we've mentioned this a while back, but then other stuff came up, so we're bringing it up again. The idea is that you send us in 5 of your least favorite Yes songs, or your 5 least favorite Yes songs, whichever works, I guess. And then we will each try to build what we think would be an interesting set list based on like all the different choices that come in. And we'll also like, I guess we could also like tally up like how many of some of them come in if we want to go that.
And I'm trying to
extra
find
mile.
the graphic I made. I didn't think to have that ready. So while you're talking about it, I'm looking for that. Why is it so hard to find? But go on, go on.
Yeah, but that's the basic idea. Just send in your 5 least favorite Yes songs, and me and Dad will each build our own hypothetical set list that'll incorporate some of the choices that we see on these lists. And I think if we're able to, we might be able to list our 5 least favorites.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
And we'll list those separately as lists, and we'll
Right.
compile a set list of a concert from maybe the top 15 mentioned least favorite songs. And I bet most of us, especially with open minds, will look at that set list and go, I think I'd watch that in concert, because inevitably someone's least favorite could be someone's most favorite. For instance, Steve, what's one of your most favorites that you know is probably not even on most people's radar? Well, I look for this graphic still.
That's a good question, but
I know what it is. You know what it is. It's on Big Generator.
well, I thought you were asking like the general public's view of
Oh.
the song, but yeah, I know that Holy Lamb was like your least favorite on that album, but it's my favorite on that album, or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to find this graphic. We'll start posting it. We'll tell you how you can send in your stuff. You can send it in through yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com, and you can comment right now on this post, and you can comment in the post. I really want to pull up the graphic. Why is this? I
Well, if you
did
can't-
make the graphic, didn't I? Because we were all
Yeah.
set to do it, and then unfortunately Alan White passed away, so we did that instead.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you can't find it, we'll at least we'll be posting it like in the time between, and we'll also
The notes
put
relate
it-
the color to the
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah, and we'll also show it like at least at the beginning of that Tomatoes episode.
And I'm a little worried because I don't want to create it from scratch. Yet I don't see it.
We'll figure it
We'll
out.
figure it out. Sorry, I didn't mean to waste time. We'll figure it out. Like Steve says,
Right.
we'll figure it out.
So yeah, we have a tribute to the tributes on Wednesday, and Yes Tomatoes on the
Saturday the 30th. That's at noon Pacific US, 3 p.m. Eastern US. And I really wish I could find this graphic. I don't want to have to make it again. Oh, I probably sent it to you. You could find it and send it back to me.
Right. Yeah, I could probably do that.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Just trying to. Oh, is this it? No. Man, I really want to show that off. Why was I not prepared?
All right. Well, there's too much silence right
Yeah,
now.
sorry.
We'll just say
We're still on.
Yeah.
So here's how we're going to close out. We're going to close out with a bunch more of Close to the Edge with John Anderson and the Paul Green Kids. And we're not going to interrupt it. We're just going to let it play out for a while. Is that cool, Steve?
Yeah, because I don't think we're lagging, but we'll play it just a bit, just in case.
Yeah, because there's this weird thing where if we stop too soon, it'll cut us off and it just gets weird.
Yeah,
right.
So we'll go ahead and play that out and see y'all next time.
And remember to comment on our posts, folks, please. Okay, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. This is truly amazing. I just get back to the folder. Everyone just relax. I'm getting there. Man, come on. Oh, boy. Here we go. Enjoy, folks. Thanks for following what we do.